What's going on? This is your man, Big Stu, Scott Stewart, or Professor Stewart, depending on how you know me. And we are back for another edition of Dope People, where we highlight dope people doing dope things, especially in the field of education. And today's episode is no different. We have the amazing Dr. Victorieus Williams, Torie Williams, Dr. Victorieus.
You have my heart. You have my brain. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Listen, before we get into it, let me read the people your bio, okay?
Perfect.
Dr.
Absolutely.
Victorieus Williams was born and raised in Kansas City, Missouri,
That's right.
and graduated from Paseo Academy High School
I do.
and get this, y'all, check this out, a first generation high school graduate. Unbelievable. After receiving her Bachelors of Science in psychology from the University of Central Missouri in Warrensburg, Missouri, Dr. Williams worked as an educational consultant in my city, Chicago, with Chicago Public Schools, and continued independently adding her mentorship continued independently adding her mentorship initiative since then.
Yes.
Dr. Williams took another step and took her education further by completing her Master's of Art in Teaching with an emphasis in special education from National Louis University right here in Chicago.
Correct.
Dr. Williams has worked at Chicago Vocational Career Academy, Thornwood High School, and Urban Prep Academy. In addition to her MAT, Dr. Williams earned her Master's of Business Administration. I love it as well. At Thornridge High School, Dr. Williams was a special ed administrator and the director of student activities, where she not only taught classes, which included SEL, she was responsible for 52 different extracurricular activities, ranging from band to National Honor Society. Her biggest achievement was to receive her doctorate in education from the Chicago State University in December of 2019. As the founder and CEO of B Victorieus Consulting, Dr. Victorieus Williams is a highly accomplished educator, author, and consultant. She has dedicated her career to helping schools across the country develop culturally responsive, trauma-informed systems of support. These systems foster resilience and success for staff, students, and families. So important. Dr. Torie has guided schools, districts, and state departments of education in learning about the impact of ACEs and trauma. You all should know about ACEs. She has also educated them on the critical role of protective factors in fostering resilient schools and communities. Dr. Torie has assisted schools in developing and implementing trauma-informed practices that have positively impacted student behavior, academic achievement, and social and emotional development. She has also cultivated educator well-being and efficacy. Dr. Torie is a passionate advocate for the education of all children, especially those who have experienced trauma. Dr. Williams encourages involvement in extracurricular activities. Her motivation has always been her 3 beautiful children. I can tell they're beautiful by the names. Amari, who is 17, Kennedy, who is 15, and Corey, who is 11, who are actively involved in various activities inside and outside of school. She is a sought-after speaker and trainer, and her work has been featured in numerous publications. Dr. Torie is a true leader in the field of trauma-informed education, and her work is making a real difference in the lives of children and families across the country. You all, by the end of this conversation, will become victorious. Dr. Victorious. That's what I call her, Dr. Victorious. Dr. Torie Williams, welcome to Dope People Podcast.
Thank you so much. You made me sound great. Thank you.
Oh man. I didn't make you sound great. You great. It's just, it is what it is.
It really is, but it's my passion, and this is what I've been doing.
Awesome. Well, listen, that's nice. That's cute. That's your bio. That's cute. That's real cute.
Mhm.
But let us get into how people might really get to know kind of like really who you are aside from that.
I'm ready.
And on Dope People, we do a game.
I'm ready.
You familiar with this game that we about to do?
A little familiar, but I'm ready for it.
This or that. So I'm gonna give you two options.
Okay.
And you decide without putting a lot of thought into it, just which one comes to mind. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So it's time for this or that. She says she's ready.
Ready.
Talk or listen?
Listen.
Markers or crayons?
Markers.
Write on paper or type on a device?
Write on paper.
Cookies or cake?
Cake.
Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles.
Reading or listening to music?
Listening to music. Pause. But I love reading too.
Did you say pause?
I had to, because music is my therapy. So, for anybody that relates, y'all know, avid readers know that that's their therapy, and I get that, and music is too. So I'm split. Good one. Sorry.
All right. Okay. Morning or evening?
Morning.
Library or museum?
Library.
Hip hop or R&B?
R&B. Sorry, even though we're celebrating 50 years in hip hop, I love it. Thank you guys. But R&B, baby, yes.
Travel by plane or by boat?
By plane.
Teachers or parents?
Good one. I'm going to say parents.
Teachers or principals?
Teachers.
When it comes to tacos,
My
hard
favorite.
shell or soft shell?
Hard shell. Corn. Yes. Absolutely.
Unions or non-unions?
Unions.
Unions.
Mm-hmm.
Online education or in-person education?
In-person education. The end.
Students or teachers?
Students. Students. And students.
I'm making this one up in my head in real time. Watch this one. Authentic student behavior or conformed student behavior?
Authentic student behavior.
We're gonna talk about that one.
Oh, absolutely. I'm ready. Oh.
As a matter of fact, let's end right there. Great job. As we dig into authentic student behavior, take us back to Dr. Torie. Take us back to Torie.
Okay.
Sixth grade Torie.
Okay.
Sixth grade Torie. Who were you? What kind of student were you? What kind of grades did you get? Who were you? I heard you say you first generation high school grad.
I'm ready.
Sixth grade Torie, tell us.
Sixth grade Torie had a jerry curl like Michael Jackson. I loved Michael Jackson. He was amazing. I was the only girl with all boy cousins. And I was a fighter. Went to a middle school where I had to fight every day. Me, my brothers, my siblings, my cousins, we were bangers. I grew up in the 80s, 90s, where gangs were just created in order to get in, to fit in. You had to do what you had to do. So I was a fighter. Surprise! Yes, I was. Banger.
No, not a surprise when you talk about being raised in Kansas City. My people from
Maybe.
Kansas City, Clinton, Missouri, Kansas City.
Yes.
My people from, so I
Yes.
know a little bit about KC.
Oh, baby. It is
I got
really.
history down there. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I have to let people know, no offense, it's my trials and tribulations. I started from somewhere. And if you know anything about Kansas City, yep, I survived it. Sure did. Kansas City.
Absolutely. I have
Graduated.
one of my cousins was who's from Kansas City was featured on his murder was featured on America's Most Wanted
I believe it.
back in the 90s, early
Mhm.
90s. So
Mhm.
yeah, so you were, what kind of grades were you getting?
At the time, I really did not know. I was just going to school just because I thought that that was the right thing to do. Having parents that said go to school and that was it. It wasn't a push for grades or anything. It was just go to school. I just went to school, so I didn't put an emphasis on getting good grades. I just had an emphasis on going to school.
So this authentic student behavior that I addressed,
Mhm.
you know, I'm in and out of school buildings almost every day,
Mhm.
and I'm still seeing a lot of sit down, be quiet. I see a lot of teachers, you know, yelling at students to shut up, be quiet, sit down, stop talking. I mean, and so when I think about authentics, when I go into the building and I do student facing work, and a
Mhm.
kid says it's standing up, and it's like, I just need to stand up. I'm like, stand up. You want to walk around too? Like, do what you need to do. Like, be yourself. Why did you choose authentic student behavior, and what does that mean to you?
I think it's amazing that you asked because the authentic behavior is the person. Why put up who, what, when, where, or why when that is what you're getting, the authenticity. If something is going on at home and they come to school and it is what it is, that's authentic. I watched students come to school. And I'm a D100. When I was at Thornridge, kids will come to school from being bused from the city because they have to come and live with grandma, and grandma's not feeling well. She's not feeling good. So that has a toll on the kid. The kid was late because she came to school late because grandma didn't wake her up. So she get to school and now you got teachers closing doors on her. She took the bus. That means she's trying to be here. She doesn't have pencil and paper because, of course, she had to come from the city. That's authentic. I want that person so I can let that person know you can do better. In order to do better, you got to be in a place where people can teach you and educate you so you can do better. So I want authentic all the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because at the end of the day, that's understanding the person and understanding the background from where they came from. And I think that's what's going to help our students. What we're doing or what people are doing is that unauthentic, not being authentic is how they're just throwing our kids in the school to prison pipeline or setting our kids up for special education when they're not special education at all. They have things like ADHD or things that have happened in their household that has had an impact on them and brought them to school. School has always been a safe haven. It was a safe haven for me in the 6th grade. So again, my parents go to school. I went to school. These kids are just going to school.
Yeah. Oh man, so much to unpack here. Did you when did you realize that you were, well, did you ever think that you were smart or not smart? Like, so that's 6th grade, and take us through what happened in high school. Like, when did you realize that you had some genius?
Okay. So I got a confession. When I was in the 6th grade, I met this teacher. May he rest in peace. His name was Sylvester Heath. He was in band. He gave me something to do. So he gave me the introduction to extracurricular activity or band. So that's how I kind of stayed after school. He stayed around the corner from me too. So when I wasn't playing in school, he was coming to my house to make sure that I was doing what I needed to do. And I was first chair. So if anybody
Yeah,
knows
yeah, I
anything
know.
about
I played the
band,
trombone in the band in school.
yeah.
Absolutely. I
And just to
battled
have
first,
a
second chair.
woman,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but having a woman first chair,
Oh yeah, that's big.
they were like, oh, I want her spot, which I
Yeah.
kind of like the competitive aspect to it. And that made me learn more instruments. So I went from soprano saxophone to bass clarinet to alto saxophone to xylophone to drums. I like band. It kept me out of trouble because, again, remember, I fought all the time. So staying after school would get me with Mr. Heath to where I wasn't getting into any more trouble anymore. And so that's what I did. I started playing instruments. What I did was, with the talent that I had, I took that talent and auditioned for a magnet school. Back in the 90s, they had magnet school programs, and Paseo Academy was a magnet school for the performing arts. So again, I'm a banger. I am. I'm sorry, I can't help it. Me and my friends fought, but I wanted to do something better. So I auditioned for Purcell. So when I auditioned for Purcell, I graduated, and I graduated, not graduated, I graduated from middle school and went to the high school and double majored instrumental and vocal music.
So you
Surprise.
sing too?
I do.
Wow.
I do. And it's funny because people still ask me, like, are you still singing? And I am not, but I feel like now, because so many people are asking, that I need to get back into it. I think I should, because music has always been my therapy. It's always been everything for me. So yep, I graduated from a performing arts high school as a double music major, instrumental and vocal music.
When you what were you did you ever think about, did little Torie ever think about what she would do when she grew up? Like, what was on your mind?
Honestly, and I'm being honest,
Yeah.
um, I didn't have that. That option was never given to me. Again, my parents just wanted me to go to school and graduate and do something that they didn't get a chance to do. My dad didn't graduate from high school. My mother didn't either. And when they married, I love them to death, but they were 16 and 17 years old. So married, have a kid, here I am, go to school and don't get pregnant.
That's
Okay.
right.
So there was never an emphasis on, let's see what type of grades you have, because they didn't do that. So
Yeah.
I didn't really know my potential, honestly. If you really, really, really want to know, I didn't know my potential until I graduated from college.
So how did you even get to college? I mean, like, what prompted you to go to college?
Because our generation at the time, that was the thing to do. People in the 90s were finally going to college. And what's interesting is, being from Kansas City, I didn't know about HBCUs at all.
That's
I
crazy
knew
to me.
about UMKC. I knew about MU. I knew about CMSU. So I applied to UMKC.
Yeah.
I applied to MU.
Missouri. Yeah.
All of my family went to MU and got in and got accepted. I got accepted into MU, but CMSU said, you can come and we'll see you in August. MU said, come and I'll see you in June.
Mm.
Again, it was a big deal that I
You mean like
graduated.
they was ready to bring you in right after graduation? You like, hold
Well,
up,
that's
I got
because,
some kicking it to do. Wait, right, right,
and I didn't have great grades. I didn't.
right.
I never confessed that I was a 3.5 GPA. I've
Yeah.
never said that. We've been talking all this time. I never said that. You keep
Yep.
asking me
No,
my GPA. Nope. I
no.
was not a honor roll, get the honor roll, national honors. I wasn't. I just went to school and graduated when it was time to go to
Right.
college. Yeah. So my family was like, she the first to graduate from high school. We're about to go. And we did. I had the biggest block party that
Yeah.
the city of Kansas City still talks about to this day, because I graduated. It was a big deal. When it was time
So
for me to go to college, I went to college.
yeah,
Hey, got kicked out the first semester
yeah, yeah.
because I didn't know, when you get to college, they tell you, don't get bad grades or you'll get on probation. No, I just didn't want to go home. I didn't want to go home because I didn't want to go home to the adverse childhood experiences that I experienced in my childhood.
Again, you just peeling back layers, and layers is dope. It's super dope. I come from the south side of Chicago, Black man.
Yeah.
Just empathize. I can empathize a lot with you, particularly on the grades side. So I always knew that I was smart. I always knew I was smart. What I'm just now starting to realize is that I may have I know for a fact that I was a diverse learner, but it was I hid behind my charm and my sense of humor.
Right.
That's what got me through. I could get on the teacher's good side, but my grades, academically, I didn't have the grades. I mean,
relatable.
You get a B, that's worth whatever you want. You brought home a B, but C's and D's were the norm. The absolute norm.
Yeah.
What I found in education, because I tripped up, I'm a business guy. I'm a businessman first. I tripped up into education more than 20 years ago. And from what I've experienced over the last 20 plus years is that many of the educational leaders, many of them that I've run across were the educational leaders that had great grades. They've always been the top student in their class. They've always had the best education. Many of them are doctors. What has been your experience in working with those types of educational leaders or educational leaders, knowing that you didn't excel in the classroom as they did? Have you had any opportunities to reflect on that in your work today as an educational consultant?
I think that's the reason why I am sought after and relatable. Because students want to hear that. They want to hear the story of how I got there or what happened. They don't want to, even when I'm talking to the people that were academically there, they like the relatability and they know why I am who I am because of that, because of my story, because of that. I actually also need to throw in my mentorship. You had a question like, when did you know? My senior year in high school, when I knew that I was going to graduate in high school, I did not want people to experience what I experienced. I had been going through a lot from sixth grade on to high school. And I didn't want people to go through that. So I pulled a group of ladies that were freshmen in the school and mentored them. Shout out to them. I have been mentoring since my senior year of high school, and my mentoring program has thousands of students across the United States that have been a part of my mentorship program. None of them are special education. Let's be clear, that's not it. I educate in special education, but I have people that have had like coats. I have people that have gotten their doctorate degrees, all from just me being me. So to answer your question, I think that places me in a different category because some of them are not relatable. People can't relate to the person that had 4.0 all of their life or came from this background or came from this neighborhood. The testimony is already there, so that makes it more relatable. When I'm sitting there, it's like, oh, you went through this for real? It's like, so I stand out different. No offense, you can't point your nose up to that because we still have the same credibility. It's just my experiences are different than theirs. So yes, I sit at a table often. The eye-opening experiences for me is moving from Chicago down to Texas. But we could
talk about that. Let's talk about that because there are a lot of educational leaders who have migrated from Chicago down to Texas. What was your experience?
So I will tell you this, a few of the educators that I still communicate with and work with was saying they had issues in Texas. Texas has a lot of systemic racism going on. You have to see it or be involved in it to believe it.
Understand it, yeah. Mhm.
It happened for me. I actually got an offer to come down to work at an elementary school that was recognized by, at the time, the education, Betsy DeVos. She was
Mhm.
a blue
Blue
ribbon
ribbon.
school.
Mhm.
Came down to the school. The principal at the time was getting promoted to executive director for the school district. And so he called me after he had offered me the position because I was coming down. I wanted to work with him. And he was like, I'm promoting my assistant. You'll like her, blah, 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 blah. She called me. She was like, oh my God, I think you would be a great asset to our team. This is what we're going to do. And from day one, I think she was intimidated just by who I was and how I am. The end of the school year, she was like, oh, and yeah, well, Dr. Williams, you really haven't been in the classroom, and I think you need teaching skills. So I'm gonna place you in a classroom. And I was like, well, if you know anything about education, young lady, you can't place me in a general education classroom because I am a special education teacher. This is my school. This is what I do. I told you this is what goes on. And long story short, of course, I'm not there anymore because HR actually agreed with me. I have a special education certification and I can't have more than 12 to 15 students in my classroom. So you have people in education, and that's the reason why when you answer teacher principal, just because you're principal don't mean you're better than a teacher. It just means you have an administrative degree. That doesn't mean, or administrative certification, that doesn't mean that you have, because we also know that there are teachers that have been in the classroom for years and principal that's only been in the classroom after they received their certification in administration, and now you want to run the building. So I'm always going to choose teachers when it comes to teachers and administration because I've seen both. Yeah, I just gave you a handful.
You did, you did, you did. Do you, that's another conversation for another day.
Oh, I'm ready for a part 2 or part 3.
Oh man, there's so much to unpack here. You are dope. I see what God did here. I really do. It's like, okay, God, I see you. I see you. What's your greatest challenge with education? The system of education, the state of education today, middle school, high school, elementary school, high school education. What's your greatest challenge?
That people are not understanding this 2-year loss from
The learning loss.
2019 to 2023. We're missing 2 years, and we're missing 2 years of education. So some people have said, let's forget those 2 years and move forward. And then some people are saying, well, nope, I can actually see it. You need 2 years of learning because you didn't. You see what I'm saying? So it's like we have this gap. And instead of addressing that gap again, we're throwing all the kids in special education because we think that that's the answer. And that's not the answer to special education. Or we're putting our kids in school because we were tired of them being in our house for 2 years and they're supposed to be in college, and then they're dropping out in colleges because that 2 years they needed it. Colleges didn't change. Colleges still need everything and all of that, and they're still going to put you on probation and kick you out. So we need to understand what's going on in regards to this 2 year for COVID. And I think that's where I love the fact that I address adverse childhood experiences, because to me it's a huge key in what's going on professionally and personally. Honestly, I do.
That's a big one. I hadn't even.
I will tell you this.
Yeah, that's huge.
School district that I came from, glad they gave me a hard time. So thank you so much for giving me such a hard time as an educated Black woman that was trying to do the best in helping out special education. But I worked with a Black diagnostician, and I will tell you, I started doing my own study on the low. And of the people that were tested for special education, 40% of the students did not qualify at all. So you wasted time, you wasted materials, you wasted all to put our kids and put a label on our kids because we want education to go, just like they wanted us to just return back to school when COVID is still out here alive and well. You said I was dope. You
No,
said
no, I'm here for it.
it.
I'm here for these conversations. I'm
It,
not skating these conversations.
this is
Like, and
it.
there's a lot of people that are not willing to have these conversations.
I'm here.
Now, that I could go on to why I believe,
Mm-hmm.
it's easier. It's
Mhm.
super easy to not have this conversation because I'm still getting my paycheck and my pension is still going. I'm retiring in 5 more years. I got 7 more years, so
I
I don't
got
have to have these conversations because I'm just here to do a job. I didn't say none of that. If I had an opinion, I wouldn't say nothing. But I get it.
but there has to be some type of truth in what I'm saying.
There's truth to it.
Bring it up now. But
Yeah.
they don't want the educated Black woman in Texas, let's be clear. They don't. They don't, which is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing by the grace of God. And it's been working. I get to talk to wonderful people like you.
Thank
And
you.
this is going to get to your audience that's going to say, yep, she's right. Let's get
Mhm.
her and get her so she can help out education, not be pushed out by people that are in positions that want to check. Because to me, that's what administration is right now. And I said it, mark me on it, Dr. Torie Williams. I said it. I'm down here. My daughters are from Chicago, born and raised. And right now they are killing the game. Their education came from Chicago. They have everything down here. They have computers up, down, in, out, everything. My daughters told me, I said, so what is it, y'all? What do y'all think is going on? They said, you know what? The teachers down here lack passion. They don't know, they're not teaching. They're not doing that authentic question that you ask. Is it authentic or is it academic? No, they test their kids 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's all they do is test, because those tests show the numbers. We don't do that. But when my mentorship will show you tons of students that came from Chicago that are educated, doing what they need to do, lack intelligence, authentic, and street smarts. Let's be clear. They don't have it down here. They don't. I'm sorry. And I had to see it for myself.
What so what excites you the most about education?
To see the reward of someone actually doing the work. So I'll give you an example. Young lady graduated from Virginia, still trying to find herself. In my mentorship program, I always let people know it's always room in the field of education because it looks good on your resume. And so what happens is some people agree and some people don't. Her first year, Texas, she got offered another contract. She got offered other positions. Every time I call her, she's like, oh, I'm into lessons. I think it's so cute. I don't know if that's really what she wants to do, but it's her for now. She tried it. It worked. She's impacting others. She's living her life. Think about it, young lady from Chicago. You know the stereotype on Chicago.
Oh, yeah.
She made it. Not only did she graduate from high school, but she graduated from college, and now she's impacting others. So it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I have to bring her up because that's my mentor. And I have tons, not mentor, my mentee, and I have tons of them out there. And again, it don't work for everybody. So let's look at entrepreneurship. Let's look at that. Find your passion. Find something that you like. Let's talk about it. Let's discuss. Relatable. This is what I've been doing. And I do that because I've done it by or through examples. I didn't become a dissertation chair just to become a dissertation chair. This first generation educated Black woman got a degree. Somebody said, well, if she could do it, I could do it too. Well, let me reach out to her. And when they do, and then they get their doctorate degrees, that's another person that I can say, well, I help coach them to their. So this is it. This is it. This is personal testimony. I have it. It's not for everybody. No, teaching is not for everybody, but for those who do it, do it. I started off as a substitute. Surprise, surprise.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Wow.
relatable. So people like that because it's relatable. I don't want to sit here and talk to the one that went to Harvard. I don't. People don't want to, but I did go. Let's be clear.
Right.
Just to add it to the resume, I had to. Yeah, it's relatable.
Let me ask you this. Your idea, your ideal classroom environment, your ideal school environment. Describe it for us. What does that look like?
Well, let me educate you real quick. I love special education for what it is. I think there's a label on it that I want to address, but nonetheless, it's there. Gifted and talented is special education, you guys. Surprise, surprise. I think it was eye-opening for me. I have my daughters are very smart. Their mom is smart. Like I said, I didn't know that, but they're very smart. And I think I would always like to teach in a special education classroom because that's where people are developing themselves, developing their talents, understanding their disability, whether it be a positive disability or a disability. A learning disability isn't a bad thing. And I think people need to understand that that's not a bad thing, or having ADHD or having an emotional disability. All of these are labeled disabilities under the special education umbrella. So I think once people understand that, that's that. What I will share is when I was the director of student activities at Thornridge, I took on the gifted and talented kids because nobody was giving them attention, if that makes sense. And so those were the ones that were coming into my classroom because they were done with class. They weren't the special education kids that I was teaching, but then there was some type of cohesion that was developed. And those kids started getting involved in the extracurricular activities that they were already going to. And students are students. When you're in extracurricular activity, it's not a GPA. It's not. It's the cohesion, and it worked. It worked. I remember one year I had my quarterback who was this tall. He was in special education. And then I had my honor student who had just got through competing in a play interview on the Friday Flyover on Channel 9, which was a big deal for Thornridge to even have this recognition. The community came together. These kids were there at 6:00 in the morning, like to be on TV. The community gave milk, donuts, Dunkin' Donuts. Like it was just a wonderful sight to see. And if you look at the numbers for attendance, the numbers for everything were there just based upon the fact that everybody joined together. Parents dropping off kids. We had school buses. We did what we had to do. But nobody knew that quarterback, the one that was killing the game, was special education.
Wow.
So I think that is what it is. It's, again, back to me having the classroom. It wouldn't matter who's in the classroom. It's what is produced throughout the classroom that's going to shape and typify your character and help you educationally wise. That's just my personal opinion.
That's phenomenal.
I can't make it up. Like this is really for real. Like this is it. And let me throw out there, when I graduated in 2019, I was really excited, but remember that was in the middle of COVID. A wonderful thing, and it's out there. It's been out there. I got pictures to prove it. I ended up having a congratulations, Dr. Williams, on graduating with your doctorate degree on a billboard. It was up for about 2.5, 3 weeks, right off of 57 and 94. And it was so many people that was like, oh my God, like just to see a Black woman on a billboard was a huge deal.
From
So
where? From where? For you, 2019, you graduated from
Chicago State.
I see that. Interesting.
A lot
I'm
of people.
always, yeah, I'm always on that road. I'm always on 57 coming from South. Yeah.
I will
Going north on 57.
going south on
Going
50,
south on 57.
for that break between 94.
Oh,
Yeah,
57. Yeah.
yeah, 94 and 57. It was humbling. I didn't know, huge surprise, but I had people like, oh, I remember that was you. Oh, okay, yeah.
Wow. Congratulations to you for that.
It's
What's
related.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. What's education's kryptonite?
The
What's the
kid,
downfall of education?
parents.
Talk about it.
I think again that 2 year and parents wanted to get their kids out and parents are ready to go to work and this we missed it. We can still get it back, but we missed it. We missed it. I think about ACEs again and how for those 2 years the physical abuse, the emotional abuse, the physical emotional neglect, the household dysfunction. I think about all of that happened within that 2.5, 3 year span. Education forced parents to teach their kids how, you know what I mean? It's like all of that. So I can't blame education. Parents had that opportunity to actually homeschool their kid and do what they're supposed to do, but the parents didn't know exactly what to do because they weren't receiving or given the right direction. So I got to give parents because I'm a parent. I have my kids up during 8 o'clock, let's go, sit around the table, do what we got to do. But that's because I'm educating. Different. Some parents still to this day have their kids watching their other kids so they can go to work and stuff. So I have to say parents. What's interesting is I will say parents first and then I'll say teachers because as you know, they're looking for teachers. I know down here in Texas, they were asking bus drivers to be teachers. It was that serious. They're trying to fill in blanks. I applied for a teaching position because I love it. I do. I love teaching. So I applied. And the response was, unfortunately, Dr. Williams, I don't have enough money to pay you, which I understood that. But I applied because I want to teach. I want to impact.
Give me the money you got.
Give me something so I can continue to impact others.
Sure.
And unfortunately, I got it. I thought it was funny. It was like, yeah, I would like to, but so you got to think about it. Education would rather grab 4 people that don't have any experience instead of grabbing one that can make an impact. Issue that I've been having since I'm down here. They see doctor and it's like, oh, she thinks she's all that. It's not about being all that. I earned it. Allow me to do what I can do to help you instead of pushing me out. And that's what the state of Texas has done. And so I'm doing better off, no offense, doing it this way as an educational consultant because that gives me the variety to go and have more impact and do what I need to do and reach more people instead of being on that one contract with the district. So again, to the state of Texas, thank you.
Amen. Amen. What's your parting words? What do you want people to know? What do you want parents to know before you get out of here? What do you want people in education to know? What's your parting word?
Push through. And I'm going to say that because it's not easy. It's not easy being a parent. It's not easy being an educator. And it's not easy being a student either. So regardless of who, what, or when, push through because your situation is unique and rare. It's one of a kind, and you're the one that's going to have to get to the end goal. So I would say push through.
Push through. Where can the people find you? Where can they connect with you if they want to bring you to their school district? Or
I am actually Dr. Victorieus everywhere. My website is bvictorious.com. I am on social media platforms everywhere. I also have a podcast. It's called Be Victorious. I have a mentorship called Be Victorious. If you're looking for, I do have people that are interested in my programs, and I'm a separate entity. So Dr. Victorious is out there. It's Dr. VICTORIEUS, because that's what I do. I create victory in others.
And all the links to Dr. Williams, Dr. Victorious are in the show notes and in the link you can click below. We want to thank you here from our entire staff at Dope People Podcast. We'd like to thank you for gracing us with this amazing conversation and insight. You're already on our radar to figure out how we can incorporate you more, not only in the work here at Dope People, but what we do offline as well. We want to thank you. You had to be dope to be invited to this show, but nevertheless, you have been stamped Dope People. You are Dope People. Thank you so much. And to all of our viewers, all of our listeners, you already know what it is. Until next time, peace.